Hey guys, so I woke up today. I'm up early. It's actually 5:30 a.m. right now. I've been trying to get up early, get some things done, be more productive through my day instead of waking up later. And time zone has been on my side. So I looked through my comments section, and I have a pretty small YouTube channel. And I remember one of the things that I've always been cautious about, one of the things I've always been cautioned about is people on YouTube. And the reason why I made my channel the way it is that I figured, I can either have two approaches about my life. I can either have this over edited kind of version of my life where, oh yeah, my life is, just like let you guys see what I consider to be correct, or like a heavily filtered kind of life where I can give people a glimpse about stages of life. And in my case, you guys knew about my uncle having cancer. I did a stream when he got the diagnosis, and I also did a stream about my thoughts about things as things went on. And so yeah, I'm in Hawaii right now, obviously. I've been talking to family. I've been spending a lot of time with family. I've been reconnecting with them. And there are times where I just pray. I pray, and I don't pray all day. Like if you see me in person, you will, you'll probably think like, oh, she obviously has grief, but it's not like I'm wallowing in depression all day. I'm moving on with my life, but I'm moving on in a way like I remember about how he lived, things like that. So, I did a post yesterday where I talked about apologizing. And I got to have a glimpse of the body. So because of that, I wanted to talk about it, and I thought like, okay, you know what? Because even though it's a deeply personal thing, I felt like I was ready to talk about, hey, this is what happened. So what I did is that when I was able to see his body, I basically went up, and I took it as a time like, this is the time I'm going to be able to say the things that I wanted to say. And I shared it because I thought, well, you know what? A lot of people have lost track of time. And I wish that I had kept more in touch with family. I wish I'd kept more in touch with how he was doing. But I shared it with you guys. We were playing phone tag in a sense, and then I didn't feel like he really wanted to reach out to me, and he was in a lot of pain, don't get me wrong, right? So I thought, okay, I don't want to push anything. But it wasn't like he was never on my mind. So what I communicated to him, even though he was lying there, I got to glimpse his body. I wanted to get things off my chest, and that's why I said these kind of things. Now people can say, Erica, this is a bit much, right? But I feel it this way: when you have the opportunity to be with a loved one, right? Regardless if they are alive or if they pass, you have the opportunity to say things. And I also believe that the soul is doesn't die. I believe in the afterlife. So I finally felt ready to share this kind of thing with you guys. And I shared it. So hold on. Hello? Hold on. Okay. So back what I was saying. I'm sorry, you guys. I got a phone call. So um yeah, so I shared these kind of things because I've always thought I can I can make this YouTube, again, sharing a filtered version of my life, or I can share details so that way you don't make the same kind of errors that I did. I assume that there was a lot of time, and I just, led on to this stupid hope because, and I don't want to say stupid hope, but I wasn't very cognizant about time because I thought, well, has to be like other people. My grandma, for instance, she lived for about 2 years after she got her diagnosis from cancer. But yeah, so I shared this personal detail, and I think, well, this is how you can take death. You can take death in two ways. You can say, you mourn a person's loss, or you can look at how they lived and you can be inspired about it. You can see how they led their life through character. And when I wrote this thing, right, I thought, okay, that's it. I've shared some thoughts and no big deal. So I wake up today, and because I checked the comment section, I see this. And what the comment section says is this. James says, "Why are you posting this all on YouTube? I'm afraid you have some real mental problems. Log out to real life, woman, unless life will pass you by." And I took a lot of offense to this. And first of all, James, I'm gonna, you know what my visceral response is? You're a total asshole. Because I've had people in my life that passed away. And I don't know if I'm the only person in the world to have someone pass away, but I'm assuming you didn't, because if you did, you wouldn't be so insensitive, James. You would say, you know what? This person is obviously grieving. This person obviously is very open about certain things. And this is their way of trying to grieve or remember a person. But instead of taking the high road, you choose to what I perceive to see it as an insult by saying, "I'm afraid you have some real mental problems. Log out to real life, woman, unless life will pass you by." It is so disrespectful that you're saying things like that to me. Seriously. Because here's the thing. I'm grieving. And I'm grieving, but I'm moving forward. I'm not, it's not like I'm stuck in a loop. I use that opportunity to go and get things off my chest. And I said, it's not like I don't think that they're around. I do think that they're around. And I wanted to convey my appreciation for how they were. I feel blessed that he lived. I feel sad that he died, but I feel so blessed that we had the opportunity to meet a person like that. And for you to say this kind of stuff, it saddens me a lot. Because, again, I've been through life and I've seen people have this kind of reaction, and it doesn't help the grieving process. I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway. If you ever encounter a person like how you are reacting, James, when you are grieving, you will understand. It will hit you hard about how hurtful these words can be. But you are not the first person to say these kind of words to me. Not directly, but the way people act. When people lose someone in their life, whether it be old age or whether it be an accident, if it's an untimely death, they are mourning the loss of a loved one. They do not need to hear that they have real mental problems. What they have is they have a loss, and they are so sad that a person passed away. And I think, and I'm only saying what I'm saying right now. I think you've hurt a lot of people in your life by saying these kind of words, because you don't know me. And you are speaking to me this way. I don't speak to people this way because I understand how hurtful words can be. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope that you grow a sensitivity chip one day, because, again, I've heard similar kind of comments. in my life. I've seen people distant after people lose someone, and it's not because it's because they think a person who is in grief can be severely damaged, and like they don't want to deal with it. They only want to deal with people when they're happy and they're joyful, and they're like the YouTube algorithm, right, where it's like, hey everybody, I'm having an awesome day today. You know what, James? Life isn't like that, okay? Life is not like that. It's my prerogative to go and share these kind of things in life, and it's also a prerogative to feel feelings, and it seems like you don't have the ability to feel feelings, because if you did, you wouldn't say this kind of stuff. You wouldn't tell me to log out to real life unless life will pass you by, because you'll realize I don't spend all my day on YouTube. I wake up early, I do a stream, and then I do my life, and then at the end of the day, then maybe I'll wrap up with another stream or so. But there are things that are happening that you're not aware of. So yeah, I still post on YouTube, but it's not everything. I just kind of like talk about things that are on the top of my head, but I'm actually doing a lot more with my life. So I'm gonna read the comments, and I've like I said, don't be like James, because you will have this moment in your life that you will experience a person like James over here. And I know James is probably going to tell me I'm wrong and things like that, but it's all about your tone. It's all about how you word things. You could have said, if you're asking me why am I posting this all on YouTube? Well, you haven't been following my YouTube channel. I've always said, I show things and I document things in my brain, both the good and the bad things, because I don't want people to feel like when they go through certain things that they're alone. YouTube can be a very alienating place. Social media can be a very alienating place. Facebook, Instagram kind of thing. And never underestimate the power of editing. I could totally, if you are editing your videos, you can show only one side of yourself. Or what you see with certain people, right? They'll gloss over certain things. You see certain people where they have YouTube channels, and all they do is they all start their video off with like, hey fam, it's your girl, da-da-da-da-da. Do you think that person lives their life like that? Do you think they're always happy? No. And I don't want to live a life where I feel like, oh, I gotta only show, it's only socially acceptable if I only show a state of happiness to the world. Because that's false. It will cause so much mental harm to people if you only show the happy side to everybody all the time. And it's not only that, it's also to yourself. There are people out there, and I'm sure they're on YouTube, where some of them, they feel like they have to post a video every single day or every couple days, and they could be going through a huge amount of grief, but they still got to put on this like freaking happy face and be like, hey fam, how's it going? Because people on YouTube, they don't want to see emotions. They want to think that life is just all, heart, stars, and rainbows. It isn't. I'm not willing to just like fake my kind of life and just be like, oh, my life is always going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And then send the message to people that if they're feeling certain things, like if they're having depression or if they're having anxiety, then it's, then they're the only person in the world, because I've been in that state. I had to go ahead and seek therapy. I'm deeply appreciative that I've sought therapy, because if I didn't seek therapy, I wouldn't have this kind of mind to realize like, hey, people like James they lack sensitivity chips. No, Outseeker, I know people are going to say delete the comment, but I want to bring focus on this, because I can do this kind of stuff and I can have a heavily filtered comment section, but I think people need to stand by their words. If you are willing to tell me this kind of stuff on a platform and let people see it, not just me, okay? It's also the other people in the world who are grieving someone. They see this kind of stuff and they could say like, "Hey, Erica's obviously grieving. Erica's very sad that she lost a loved one." And then they could read James' comment and say, "Oh crap, James thinks Erica has a real mental problem and she needs to log out to real life." How do you think those people feel? I'll tell you how those people feel. They'll feel like total crap. They'll feel like total crap thinking, here's a person who's sharing what's going on, her thought process, and there's some person out there who's declaring, right, who says, "I am afraid you have some real mental problems." Grief is not a mental problem. Staying in grief for an extended period of time and just crying all day can be indicative of something going on, but that's not happening to me. If you read my words, right, you'll say that I prayed for his blessing and straight to make enough money to make the world a better place like he did. It's not like I'm just like going in this whole loop about how he passed away. I accept about how he passed away. I learn more about it every day, and I've used that knowledge to tell people, for instance, right, if they know someone with a terminal illness, do not take your time for granted. That is one of the little regrets that I've had. But I've spoken to people about it and they tell me that they said they were caught off guard. And I use that experience to say, hey, you know what? If anything happens, if I know anybody with a terminal illness, I'll reach out to them. 100%. Because I know time is finite. Time is so important. I mean, I can't do things to bring that family member back. But what I can do is I can share the experience so you guys don't go through that same regret that I do. Give them the pin of shame. Okay, we'll do the pin of shame. You know what? I'm not gonna do a pin of shame, but I want to bring awareness of this thing because again, I've lost people in my life. I've come across people like this, and when a person is in grief, you know what you need to do? You don't tear them down, okay? What you need to do is say things like, I'm here for you. I support you. Prayers to your family, that kind of stuff. That is the thing that they're going to remember. Do you know, and I never shared this with you guys, but I have seen so much words of good memories and kindness and support from people I have never met in my life. And people have said things about how much, like personally, people who knew him, how much he touched their lives and things like that. And those words provide a lot of comfort to family because at the end of it, right? Even though you have a loss, you remember the good times and you remember about how people were. You know, even just something like, you know, there were people who were just like reaching out because he knew so many people and they were saying things like they were saying things about how good of a person he was, how his character was, and they shared those kind of things and they reached out kind of thing. They offered condolences, and those kind of things helps the family. It helps a person again move on. But if anybody says these kind of things, it's like instead of like showing like I'm so bad, you guys, with communicating right now, but if anybody says things that can possibly cause harm and disrespect, again, you don't when people feel stronger, it's not gonna help them. go back to their new normal. Grief, I've said this before, but when a person passes away, you don't go back to normal. Especially if this person meant a lot to you, especially if this person inspired you, and especially if you have regrets. What you do is that you have a new normal where you remember them and you never forget them, and you keep them in your mind. You keep them in your mind because you think to yourself, I feel such a big amount of loss when I think about this person. And I don't know how long, I mean, like, it's definitely getting better. And I find myself, speaking to family, and I hear family, saying out loud how much they regret things, about how, they felt like maybe they fell short about certain things. And I told them to stop it. I said, stop apologizing about how you feel like you fell short, because if you interacted with him, and if you did what you could, you got to hold on to that. And why are you apologizing? He would not want you to apologize. If anything, yes, he passed away, but he felt blessed to have that person who's apologizing in his life, because he really prioritized family. So that kind of thinking, right? That kind of thinking, it's like you see it in people where they have so much pain, or they feel like they fell short, including myself. But all you can do is just accept what happened, learn from it, keep it as a learning experience, and then move forward. But one of the ways you move forward is getting support from, people around you, kind of thing, especially family. So a comment like James over here, saying you have mental problems, yeah, that doesn't help people with the grieving process. And I know that I've seen people on Facebook, I've seen people on social media where they write these, they have a lot of loss. So for instance, right, on a personal level, there's a person that I've been following, that I follow on Facebook, and she's had a lot of mental problems. She's had a really tough life. And about a week ago, she was asking for prayers for people. She was saying that something terrible happened in her life, and she had to rush over to the hospital. Now, she didn't want to communicate to people what it was, but her husband passed away. And since then, she's been basically flooding Facebook with all these things about how much pain she's in, how she feels like the world is so cruel and unfair, and how much she misses him, and how she doesn't know she's going to go on, things like that. These are all real feelings of grief. Now, a person can look at that and have the James approach and say, I'm afraid you have real mental problems. And is that going to help her? No, because she is at such a vulnerable time that she shouldn't be hearing this kind of stuff. And people, when they are going through grief, they have their own timeline. It's not like the stupid HR timeline where it's like, oh, you got 3 days to grieve and you better be back, you better be nice and smiley again, kind of thing. Like, I really don't like the 3 days of grief. I think people need more days than that. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so I see this woman, she's obviously in pain. She's been documenting her thoughts, and she prays to God a lot. And I'm not expecting you guys to be religious or believe in, and the idea of a God, but that's the way that she's trying to get strength. And I know she's talking to family, I know she's talking to friends, but yeah, she shares these feelings openly. And when you share feelings on a platform as public as YouTube or Facebook, you are putting yourself in a situation where you will have people who don't know you give these kind of comments, these very insensitive comments. And yeah, for that woman who lost her husband recently, there's been a huge a huge wave of support, outpour of support. People are sending things like praying things and their condolences, prayers to you and your family. And it was a lot of comments, and I saw it. People, she was telling people about what was going on. She's been very, very open about documenting her life and things like that. And Yeah, but now that I think about it, there might be one person like a James peeping up in there and is like, why are you talking about these kind of things? I don't want to see it. I don't want to, I want to see like the memes, and I want to see like what I want to see, not your life, not what's going on kind of thing. But yeah, again, this is a learning experience. Don't be like James, in my opinion, and think if you were, and I wish James, before he typed this comment, said, would I want to hear this kind of comment if I lost someone in my family? For me, no. I would never send this kind of comment. I would be horrified and I would be ashamed of myself if I even thought about sending this kind of comment. What I would have said instead is something along the lines of, um, you're obviously in a lot of mental anguish. I hope things get better. You've said it yourself, Erica, but don't be afraid to seek help of a therapist if you need it, and leave it at that. Because that way you would have got across the message, but it wouldn't have come off in this offensive angle where it's, I'm afraid you have some real mental problems. Log out to real life, woman, unless life will pass you by. See? So I don't know who these 8 people are liking this comment too. I think it's 8 people who don't have sensitivity chips. And I know some people who like that comment would have taken great offense to it. But again, I think it shows more about you than it shows about me. And I don't like the idea of people being like that on YouTube and just getting hit, and they don't hear a real person's thoughts about these kind of comments. I don't delete a lot of my comments because I see it and I think to myself, let me try and let me process this thing in, and also let me voice my opinions about this. Like, certain people are keyboard warriors, and I've seen the keyboard warriors where it's like, I don't they like they don't they're not afraid of like being exposed. Like, you don't know who these people are, so they can say, ha ha ha, you suck, ha ha ha, you're fat, ha ha ha, you look ugly. And it's like, what's the point of like doing those kind of comments? But you see these kind of comments not only on YouTube, but you see it online. And it's not like I haven't gotten like certain kind of comments to my channel, but I've seen it on other people's channels, and it's just so immature. It's immature, and you hear about people getting some real psychological issues because of being on YouTube, because if they get a lot of these kind of comments, it gets under their skin. But I'm 100% gonna say, right, if I ever felt like I was having some kind of psychological issue because of YouTube comments, I'd say something, and then I'd also distance myself off YouTube, because I realized that YouTube, right, is not indicative of who I am. You guys, right, I share thoughts and things like that, but at the end of the day, there are things that are going off on YouTube that I don't show, and so don't think like I have my mind focused on this all day, every day kind of thing, and all I've been doing is just posting on YouTube 24 hours a day or 18 hours a day, because I definitely don't do that. I've been chatting with people. I've been catching up with people. I've been replying back to people. I've been trying to balance things with, family and things like that. But I don't document these kind of things, because if you're with people, right, you want to, well, first of all, right, if you're with people and you're having discussions with them, I'm not going to whip out my camera kind of thing and be like, hey, let me document this kind of stuff. Like, no. I think that, yeah, there are certain people that, yes, I will document things, but it wouldn't be certain things. And for this kind of stuff, it's like, I don't want to like put people who are grieving on camera kind of thing. Well, that doesn't mean I'm just like spending 10 hours a day writing like one community post or anything like that. See where I'm getting at? So yeah, sometimes social media sends a message that if you're on social media a lot, then, oh, you must be working on your YouTube page all day, every day. No, I spend a little bit of time, and then I step away, I get on with my life, and then maybe later on in the day, I'll spend 1 or 2 hours, and then that's it. Yeah. No, okay, so Mr. D Lord says he wanted to help you. It might have come out the wrong way. I'm afraid you have some. Well, first of all, if you want to help me, right, you don't say I'm afraid you have some real mental problems because that seems insulting, right? Like if someone was posting something online, it's like I think you have mental problems. Like that isn't in a helpful manner. That's said to hurt people, and that's how it comes across because you see people on keyboard warriors who will say something like, "Oh, look at this person. They have real mental problems." Kind of like you know, like Britney Spears. And I know people probably don't want me talking about the Free Britney thing. I do actually believe in Free Britney. But so many years, right? People see her as having like these real mental problems. And I'm not going to say like, yeah, she doesn't have mental problems. She's obviously seeking therapy and she wants to move forward with her life. But having mental instability or dealing with certain feelings doesn't make you diseased or like a stay away person for your rest of your life. This is why when I feel about mental health issues, I encourage people to say, hey, this is how I am right now. It doesn't have to be like this forever. And I encourage people to seek help. I encourage people to seek support and speak to people. And then if they need to, go and see a therapist. Go and see a psychiatrist. Go and see a psychologist. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm stumbling with my words because you lose track of time and you have some sort of, let's say, weak point in your life, and it's hard for you to get over it. You need to eventually get up, and if you feel like you don't have the strength, talk to people, because I think everybody should try to live the best life that they can, mentally healthy, because there's a huge difference. And I can say this from personal experience, right? When you are not mentally in a good place, it affects your quality of life to the point where you can lose years of your life because you have certain issues that you need to seek help with. And mental health, like I said, I don't think it's a taboo issue. I think that it's just a temporary thing. And I'm not saying that it's going to go away, but you can have better coping mechanisms. And it's helped me a lot. There's a huge difference in my life after I went and sought help. I personally did not go on prescriptions, but just getting therapy and just like speaking to a person who helps me see things another way, or just, go through certain things in a more healthy fashion, helped me immensely. It's like, yeah, people will go through stages of life. You will feel lost. Things will come up unexpectedly, but how you handle those situations, right? It's very important. And I'm not gonna kick a person down because they're going through a tough life situation and speak to them in such an uncaring way, because like I said, I've been there. I've been in that really dark place. I know how it feels, and I would never ever want to say words that encourages people to stay in a dark place where they're hurting. You need to have empathy for people. You need to be sensitive. Yeah. Oh, so James says, all right, listen, I'm sorry if it came across rude. I was not trying to insult you. Okay, let's break it down, right? Log out to real life, woman, unless life will pass you by. I don't talk to people like that. I've never spoken to a woman that says log out to real life, woman, unless life will pass you by. No. I think it's very disrespectful to call a person like that. Like, can you imagine if I'm like, woman, hold the door for me. Woman, pick that up for me. Right? That I mean, like, yeah, it seems funny, but yeah, that's really insensitive. Yeah, yeah. Look up how to speak to people or what to say to people when they're going through a tough time. You'd find that there's words about trying to be kinder, supportive. Because here's the thing, I am strong enough to deal with these comments, but there's a lot of people that they see this kind of thing, they're gonna mentally break. And they're gonna say, "Oh man, yeah, I guess the perception is that I'm a mentally unstable person," and then it's gonna prevent them from the healing process even more. See where I'm getting at? So yeah, I'm gonna keep this comment up, and either way, I screenshotted it. I know sometimes when you talk about these kind of things, people people either edit things or they delete things and they backtrack on things, and it's almost like, oh, I want to remove all trace of the internet for this. But here's the thing, right? Just like real life, if you say something just because you want it gone doesn't mean that the lasting impression isn't there. That's my take on it, right? Like if I tell someone these kind of words, right? Like, oh, so why are you posting this on YouTube? I'm afraid, you have some real mental problems. You got to log out of real life, woman, unless life will pass you by. It's just like it comes off of like just very tone deaf. And if, like, again, if I told that to another person, you know what their initial response would be? Erica, you're an asshole. I guarantee you that. And when they feel like they're stronger mentally, right? They're gonna remember that about me, and they're gonna say, I don't wanna talk to Erica. I don't wanna deal with Erica, because you know what? I remember how Erica was, how she was towards me when I had a moment of weakness, when I was sad, and yeah. So I've had people in my life where I've had some terrible things happen, and I remember how people spoke to me. I remember how people acted. And do you know what I did after I recovered? I never spoke to them again. And the reason why I did that is because I told myself, I want people who don't kick me when I'm down. I want people who help me when I'm down. Because I have this kind of mentality, I have this kind of thing where if I see a person suffering, I know I either have two things. I can either ignore them, I can insult them because they're suffering, or I can try to tell them, hey, you know what? I know you're going through a tough thing right now, but you're going to get through it. And you just gotta, I know it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying you're going to get through it in like 15 minutes or something, but take as much time as you need. And if you want, I'm here for you. Like that's the kind of life that I choose to live, because again, if you do the former and not the latter, people will say, man, like for me, right? The people that I have in my life, my friends, my family members, you ride life through thick and thin. We all know shit is gonna happen, right? And if you just like say certain things, or if you're just an asshole when someone's down, it's like, why should I support you if you're going through those kind of things? Because I know how you are when I have that moment of weakness too. So I know it seems very like transactional, but it tells you more about a person when someone has a moment of weakness, and the people that they rely on for support. For me, it was the people that I personally knew, the people that were in my circle, and just seeing how some of them were, I had to seek therapy for it, because I thought like, wow, it was so insensitive. So here's something personal that I'll share, right? I had a person in my life, and I've shared it with you guys, right? Jordan. And I was grieving. And I know some people would say, Erica, it's been years, you're still grieving about Jordan. I feel sad about Jordan's situation. Because I see it as that he needed mental help. And I don't cry about Jordan, but it's just like I feel sadness, because I think like he really needed a support system. He really needed caring people around him, and he felt so alone, and that's why he overdosed alone. And I learned from that. After he passed away, I decided, you know what, I never want to give off this vibe that Erica doesn't care about people. And when I had my family member pass away, it made me think, crap, I wonder if people think I don't care. It's not that. Just just because I'm distant, right? Just because I'm like far away physically doesn't mean I don't care about family. I care about family so much. So I've used the opportunity, right? Like, okay, I had my situation with Jordan, and I've had this situation most recently, to tell people like, hey, I care. Like, I know it might not seem like it because we're not always talking, but I want to be in the loop. I want to know what's going on, and I want everybody to know that, yeah, I'm there, So I communicate this kind of thing, and it's just like you see this as like an experience where you can say, okay, I might have screwed up, or I did screw up, or I didn't communicate very well, but move forward for sure. So the thing about Jordan's passing, and it's not just Jordan's passing, it's other people too, because I've had people in my life who have done, permanent solutions, and it hurts me. It hurts me a lot when I hear about people who have done this kind of thing, like friends out of friends or things like that. And I remember it's like I spoke to one of my friends about that passing, and I was crying because I was so devastated about what happened. It blindsided me, right? I had no idea what was going on, and I remember I had a friend that I had known for about 6 years tell me, they said basically that a person who ends things by themselves, it's completely different than a person who passes away from a heart attack. So I had a friend that they knew that, of course, right, the whole OD situation, the whole early thing. But they also knew that I knew someone else who had just recently passed away from a heart attack. And I remember, right, having that thing, and I remember I was crying about it because I was like, this is terrible. And they were very cold to me, and they basically insinuated that a person who ends things on their terms, it's not, it's like you shouldn't grieve about them, kind of thing. It was just very cold. It was very callous, and they said they grieved for the person who had a heart attack, but they did, they felt bad about that. But for the person who does things because they have a lot of mental pain or physical pain, they don't care. They don't really care. And it's like, for me, crying, right, thinking about like all these things, right, hearing about the details of the passing, I just, it's like, for me, I felt really, really bad. And I remember that. So when I was stronger about it, I made the decision to distance myself from that person, because I said, you know what, a life loss is a life loss. And I think that there's such a taboo about mental health, and instead of like saying, oh, this is a person who was suffering so much that they decided to take things by themselves, right? And seeing what led to that situation, just being so like, oh, this person is selfish, this only person cares about themselves, like, that's some really messed up thinking. I mean, like, for anybody who shares those kind of thoughts, like, you need to realize, like, sometimes mental health can be deteriorate to the point where they don't see happiness. And that's why I've been a strong supporter of seeing mental health therapists, seeing psychologists, psychiatrists. If one doesn't jive with you, see another one. Because I don't want people to be in that kind of similar situation like Jordan had, where he had a bright future, things happened in his life, and he had a shitty support system. And that's why probably, I considered him to be like the smartest, one of the smartest people that I've ever known. A person who could have changed the world with his mind. And just seeing what happened to him, it is such a great loss. But yeah, so it's like I've always like thought to myself sometimes, like, how would it have been if he was still in this world? And you don't know, because in my opinion, right, there was so many failures. There were failures of his family because they kicked him out. There were failures of his friends because they, either he didn't reach out to them, or they didn't care, or they just saw him as like a total mess. Failure of his girlfriend, because after he got 5'1", 5'0", she kicked him out. She was like, I can't deal with his feelings. So what she decided to do was take his house keys and kick him out of the house, rather than say, hey, let's figure out what's going on. Because she was so impacted by what he had done. It's like her gut feeling was self-preservation. And it's like, some people would say, oh, well, Erica, maybe she was overwhelmed. It's like, how the hell can you kick someone out who tries to do that kind of stuff? And it's like, obviously a cry of help. And instead of saying, okay, let's try to get you help, you try to kick them out, and you make them homeless. You make them effectively homeless immediately. It disgusted me. It disgusted me about what I heard. And this is the kind of thing, it's like, when you have a lack of sensitivity and then you see people that's like, oh, having real mental problems, it can lead to real repercussions. So that's why it's like, all those kind of failures around the people in Jordan's life, it saddens me a lot, because a lot of people failed. And then after he passed away, I saw these people who, it's like, they have so much remorse for what they did. And for me, it's like, I still get angry about it, because I think, you knew what you were doing. You knew that you did not you did not show sympathy to him. You did not show empathy to him. And you just kind of kicked him when he was down. And what? You thought he was just going to get back up, being in the state that he was, knowing that he had to be 5'1", 50'd? Like, no. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I know you're grieving, but if you do this kind of thing to him, like, I draw the line kind of thing. It's like, that is so freaking up kind of thing. And then you claim that you love him so much. It's like, frick, if you love someone, you want to see them get better. You don't kick them when they're in the lowest pace of their life. You know what? Fuck you, James. Seriously, she cried because I called her a woman that I'm supposed to call her queen. No, James. Here's the thing. Look, you have your head so up your frickin' ass, James. It's like, see, you're still unable to see it. You have to, when you word things, I don't know how old you are. Like, I hope you're younger than me, okay? Because if you're older than me and you're acting like this way, that's just being plain ignorant over here. And you're having an attitude problem. See, this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, you cannot have an attitude problem. It's like, I'm not asking, you're over emotionalizing this to the point where you're like, oh, she assumes I want to call her queen. No, I don't want you to call me queen at all. I just think you could have rephrased this in a more respectful way. That's it. Oh, look at that. All right. Oh, yeah. Oh, do you feel like a real man, James? All right. If you want to get all feminist on me, I'm out of here. I meant everything even more than you interpret it, unsubbed. Yeah. You know what, James? Yeah. How does it feel? Yeah. Get that FU attitude out there. Does it make you feel like a real man? It sounds like it. It sounds like it. I'm just gonna leave it as it is. See? Look at that. See, you can handle, like, again, James is gonna live his ignorant life here, and I feel bad for you, James, because look, you interact with people in a real life setting. Not good. I made this whole thing because I thought, well, let's have this be a learning experience, and you can either step up and you can say, I'm gonna be better, I'm gonna treat people kinder, I'm gonna rephrase my thinking, I'm gonna rephrase how the way I phrase things. But I would say it seems like James is like a little snake over here, where he's saying things in a certain way, right? And it's almost like apology, but then afterwards, when you call him out on stuff, it's like, that's when the real thing, all right, if you want to get all feminist on me, I'm out of here. Like, how am I being feminist? I'm saying be kind to people. I'm saying, like, have empathy towards people. Watch how you phrase things. You can go back and say how I recommended you can phrase things. And I meant everything even more than you interpret it. Oh, so you meant things even more. Oh, yeah, get that visceral stuff out of there. Yeah, unsub, bitch. Yeah, okay, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna be a bitch. You can consider me to be a bitch, but at least I'm not an asshole. And I know, at the end of my life, people are not gonna say, man, Erica called me a... I would say, you know what? I want to live a good life. I want to uplift people. I don't want to tear people down like you, James. And I feel bad that people have to interact with you in life. I know. And he's going to say, you bitch, 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 bitch. I'll take it. I'll take all those insults, because here's the thing, right? You can choose the way you speak to people, and you didn't have to call me that. You called me that because you're being very visceral towards me. And it seems like, yeah, no, James, I don't want to delete James' comment. I don't want to delete James' comment. I want to show it the way it is because I think it's a really good thing. Can we undelete that thing? I want to undelete that. I'm 24. No, no, no. I'm gonna keep James things. No, 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 no. I don't wanna. No, 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 no. So I am going to read all of James's comments because it got deleted, but I really want to just keep it on here. So he said, "All right, if you want to get all feminist on me, I'm out of here. I meant everything, even more than you interpreted. Unsubbed B." And then afterwards, right? He said, "She cried because I called her a woman. What am I supposed to call her? Queen?" There's the attitude over there. And then afterwards, he says, "Yeah, not worth it. Outseeker, who are you anyways? Jesus, you're the biggest simp I've ever seen in a long time." See? Get the insults out there, right? Remember, there are some people, they are incapable of doing anything but insulting you. Right? It's like, okay, so Outseeker is called a simp. I'm called a B. He got the attitude problem. He says I want him called. I've never asked anybody to call me queen. I don't want to be called a queen. I'm not a queen. I'm just a regular person. I mean, like, yeah, if I was like Queen Elizabeth, like, yeah, sure, call me queen. But still, I think James lacks a lot of maturity. Let's see over here. James says he's 24. Oh, geez, James, please get some maturity in the future. I tried to apologize and she got all feminist on me. No, I don't think I got all feminist on you. And then, grow a thicker skin, snowflake. Oh, there's the insults. There's the insults over here. See, again, so we've gotten 3 insults. I'm called a B. Outseeker is called a simp, and he tells me to get a thicker skin, snowflake. James, I'm gonna go on a whim here. I don't want to. I can't psychoanalyze you over here, but I'm gonna say this. I think you live a unhappy life. I think you are around people that aren't mentally, uplifting you for whatever reason, and you get into this whole spiral where it's like when you're mad, all you can do is just like lash out insults, right? I mean, like, you can basically get a whole laundry list of insults that you can print offline, right? Snowflake, simp, da 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 da, and B, that kind of stuff. And the people that I have in my life, I don't tolerate being name called personally, because I think, okay, if you're having an argument with someone, what good does it do when you label someone a certain way? You gotta see people as individuals, not as snowflakes, not as simps. Like, you see the way I try to communicate with people. Like, yeah, I called you an asshole, because I think, yeah, that seems kind of like an asshole over here. But I didn't say it, right? I didn't say it in like, okay, just blocking everything, because I thought, okay, you know what, let's just give James the opportunity to be better, kind of thing. But obviously it didn't happen. He just regressed in his whole insults over and over and over and over. And maybe it's indicative of the age, and I hope things change, because I think that if you find out you go through life insulting people rather than kind of looking within yourself, it's very destructive. And I don't know, maybe James is not listening to this anymore because he's probably like running away, and he's like, that beep. But what can I say? I can lose people like that, and I suggest you guys lose people like that in your life. Find out who are the people that you can speak to logically, who are the people that show kindness and empathy and the good qualities you want to see in the world, versus the keyboard warriors of sorts. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah. Nah, no, I'm not. You know what? I don't mind feeding these kind of trolls, okay? Here's the thing, right? I don't mind it. I think that you can use this as a learning experience. As far as I know, that James is probably not their real name at all. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay, because James is a representation of people out there in the world, and you got to protect yourself from people out there in the world, okay? So, again, I'm using this as an opportunity to tell you guys, like, be mindful about how you treat people, how you speak to each other, because I have seen what happens to people when they hear about certain things, when they hear certain remarks, and it has a real lasting impression on them. There are certain people that I've had in my life. They hear one mean comment from a person and they hold on to it for years. Seriously, years. And I try to tell these people, like, it's not true. You gotta recognize that that's just the opinion of one person, and think to yourself, like, do you think that's really true? Do the people who really matter to you, the people that you really care about, the people that have good qualities, that you respect, do they treat you, do they have that kind of reaction, or do they say those kind of things? And for me, it's like, I feel so blessed that I don't really know too many James in my life. I'm not saying that I don't want to hear certain things, but you got to phrase things with being mindful about people's emotions, because people have feelings, people have thoughts, and you don't know the tolerances of people, what their line is. And I'm a stronger person as a result of dealing with people like James, but I know not everybody out there has that kind of like experience, or that kind of strength, and that strength only came from having these experiences. I don't regret having those experiences, because by having these experiences I can make a stream like this and tell you, you gotta see James for who they are. Those kind of James, you gotta see, like, you gotta just like look beneath the words and say, like, is this a person, right, that you want to have in your life? And if you don't want to have this kind of person in your life, like, yeah, just say, I wouldn't, like, a person like that who spoke to me like that in person, like, I would not want to have them in my life, not with that kind of wording. And I would ask them, don't be such an asshole. Like, phrase things better. You can get the message across, and you don't have to word it like that. Log out to real life, woman, unless life will pass you by. So he calls me a snowflake for it. But I imagine that if he had told people like this in person and they communicated their thoughts, then he would probably insult them. He would just, instead of looking within himself, he would hit them with a barrage of insults. And that's not how you are. That's not how people should be. I think we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard, because we're dealing with human beings around us, not just, people with actual emotions. What? Did I actually? Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Outseeker. I did not mean to. I think I actually hid you. Whoops. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, Outseeker. I think I accidentally pressed hide. I am so sorry. Outseeker, are you there? I'm so sorry. I think I have to give you back mod status. I'm so apologetic. That's the problem when you're on your phone and you do this kind of stuff. It's like the freaking small ass buttons. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Yeah, I mean, the buttons on here are kind of small. So so I think I was pressing something and I accidentally hid you, and I caught that. I was like, what was I hiding? So I'm so sorry. Yeah, so, yeah, all his message came as deleted. So I said it out loud, and, yeah, so you guys, right, whatever you're going through on in life, I know I'm not the only person going through this kind of stuff in life. Be mindful about the Jameses out there, and, just surround yourself with people who care about you. People who will phrase things in a more empathetic way. I mean, it's almost like if someone told you, like, if you had someone that you lost and someone said, like, get over it, like, why is it taking so long, just get over it, like, that kind of stuff. That's like an insensitive jerk remark, right? But instead of saying that, you could rephrase it. Instead of like, why is this taking so long, get over it, you can say, obviously, I can see that you're hurting right now. I just want to let you know that don't be afraid to seek help, because I've known people who have benefited from help, and I'll be praying for you, because I actually do pray quite a bit. I'll be praying for you, but I just wanted to put it out there because I've seen grief consume people and they lose years of their life, and I don't want that for you. See? So a response like I just gave you guys, it's a lot more humanistic than like get over it kind of thing. You see? So yeah, always be mindful about how you speak to people, and yeah, I try to practice what I preach, and yeah, we don't need more James out there in the world. And if James is listening to me being hidden and all that like that, I hope as you get older, you have more maturity, and I hope you realize that how your words can come off. And I hope that you don't go into this whole thing where you just insult people who point out these things, because that doesn't make you a bigger person for that. Okay, it doesn't. I've lived quite a bit of years of life, and I still have a lot more living to do. But what I've realized is through people, through talking to people, and hearing things myself, is words can hurt people. And yeah, you gotta have a sensitivity chip. Yeah. Oh, Lewis commented on that post. Okay, let's see. Oh my, what the hell? What the hell is that? What is this? What is this, a smiley face? I don't get it. Like, what am I looking at? Like this wonky ass smiley face? Okay. Dirt face. Yeah, that's a dirt face of sorts. Okay. Oh well. So anyway, I'm gonna get on with my day. It's 6:24 a.m. and I hope that, again, I hope that by sharing this kind of thing, the things that I see, be mindful. Be mindful, okay? You're gonna have James. You're gonna go through life. I know we have all sorts of people out there in the world, all different age groups and whatnot. You're gonna have people in your life that you're gonna come across a James sooner or later. It's not like maybe you will, maybe you won't. You definitely will, because I've come across like several kind of James in my life, and I can see it for what it is, right? So if you are ever hurt by a comment like a James, and then you call them out, and then they call you a B, and then they say all these things, and then, Outseekers called, a simp, things like that. Uh, Remember, it tells you more about them than it tells you about yourself. And if you are going through a hard time, I know that you're gonna need to get support, whether it be support within or with support from others. And again, don't be afraid to seek that support. When you get better, remember, don't let people like James occupy rent in your head, because but you know what, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna remember James, and I'm gonna say, James, I hope you have maturity, and you get insight one day, and you get wisdom, and you realize, like, being that way towards people, you're not making the world a better place here. And I think you can be better. I definitely think you can be better. And I hope you are, because one day you will find yourself in a situation where people can either kick you down or uplift you. And I think you're going to want to have people who uplift you, rather than say certain things that can be construed as hurtful. Yeah. You got into the trouble with the wrong person, trust me. Okay, so here's the thing. So, depending on what you do, okay, so James, here's the thing. Here's the thing, James. I will not hesitate, 100%. I will not hesitate to go and call the police. I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I would not hesitate. That 1,000%. And I also don't hesitate by taking threats for the way they are. Okay. So if you want to be that way, and you're just gonna say, okay, I'm gonna conjure up people to support me in the way that I acted, I think you're gonna come across people who say, wait a second. All she's saying is to be nicer to people. All she's saying is to watch your language towards people. I'm not asking, I'm not demanding that you call me a queen or anything like that. I'm just saying be a better person. Be a kinder person towards people. That kind of thing. Okay? But seriously, like I know that being online, you have people, right? And it's like you expose yourself in a sense, right? Because it's like you hear about these kind of things, but I would not hesitate 1,000% calling the police. I know, I know, I know. So yeah, just putting it out there, because I mean, like there are like once you like live a life, and then you see certain situations, it's like, yeah, don't hesitate at all. Doing the break. Exactly. So Outseeker gives really good advice, right? Seriously, though, James, be a good kid so people give you crap. James, like I said, I think you can be better. And I hope you are. I hope you treat people better, because at the end of the day, you don't want to live a life where someone says, I remember the last time James spoke to me and he called me a B. You want to live a life where people say, you know what? I didn't have a good experience with James, but he grew from it, or something like that. You want to leave the world a better place. And there have been people in my life where I don't know if it's because they lack maturity or whatnot, but I don't have good experiences with them. And some people, right? You As time goes on, you have an opportunity. You can either try to be a bigger person and you can try to be a better person, or you can stay in a certain position, not break your train of thoughts, and then find yourself like, hey, wow, look, I'm like 40 years old and people still call me an asshole. I don't want people to think of you that way, James. Like, I'm being real here. Because going through life and everything like that, you realize like everybody has a chance to be better, not only for themselves but the people around them. And there are people in the world that I've known, it's like they lead really lonely lives because of the way they treat other people. And then they wonder, why people don't like them. They lack the ability to look within themselves and see what they did. And it can be hard, like the longer you go on and you be a certain way, or the more you like burn bridges with certain people, or you are a certain way, it adds up. Because then people, right, people will say, oh yeah, that person was a total asshole to me. And then people, word can spread, and they're like, oh, watch out for that person, they're a total jerk. And I say this because it's like I've known people who are jerks towards me, and then it's just kind of like, wow, why are they such a jerk? And then I find out that other people know them, and then afterwards, right, everybody talks about that person in passing. It's like, oh, I know that person too. Yeah, that person's such an asshole. That person's such a jerk. And it turns into like a bonding experience where people don't respect that person because they all consensually say that that person is a jerk. You see? So I've spoken about like one of these people on my stream for sure. And it surprises me because like I'll mention this person that I knew in passing, and then people will say like, yeah, I met them too. Yeah, what an asshole. That person is such a head up their ass, and they think that they're like a big shot, but they're really not. They're really a laughing stock. And yeah, again, just like what James was displaying, right? They also, their gut reaction is to tear people down. And it's like, depending on how you are, right? Depending on how you are, it's like, that leaves a lasting impression. And I don't want you to have a life where you're like that one person that I described, James, because you're still young. You're 24. You're able to change if you want. And people say like, yeah, stay away from James because James is an asshole. See? Yeah, you can always be better. It's true though. It is true. It's like I think life, the people that are around us, right? The people that we have, we might not have a lot of people around us that we think like sometimes like you have pressure when you see like Facebook or Instagram, like people have like these huge followings. I've realized, and some of you guys have made me realize, like, yeah, it's not really about, let's say, having the subscribers. Like, I always thought, like, man, I want to have like 100K subscribers. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to hyper focus on that stuff. I was like, I kind of want to break out of 5K. I broke out of 5K, and I consider it a success already. But, yeah, it's just like, don't focus on the number of people in your life, too. Like, focus on the quality of people. And I think it's more important to just have good relations with people, your friends, your family, your neighbors, that kind of stuff, and say, hey, I'm at this stage of my life right now, and I think that I feel so lucky to have really good people, and I'm gonna do, what I can to make sure that when life throws shit at everybody, good and bad, that we're there for one each other, because yeah, at the end of it, right, I don't want to. I want to live a life where I look back and hold on, shit, hold on. I don't know who the hell is calling. I think this is a scam call, but I'm not too sure. Let's see. I always Google those fucking numbers. Suspicious number. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was a scam call. I've been getting scam calls lately. Where it's like they tell me about my car extended warranty. I'm just kidding. Now I get these stupid calls. I think they're totally phishing calls or so. But no. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to get those kind of calls where people would say, oh, I'm calling from Microsoft and you have a virus. And I'm like, dude, I have a MacBook. Like, get the out of here. I don't have a Microsoft. I don't want a Microsoft computer. I want to get a MacBook. I love my MacBook. And just, like, ended that way. Yeah. Yeah, like, nobody says, like, all that kind of stuff. But, no, 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 no. Yeah. I actually, hey, by the way, you guys, real though, I've actually known someone who fell for one of those scams. They got a call allegedly from Microsoft, and then Microsoft told them to download something, and they said they needed like $300 to remove it, and they actually sent them the money. So that kind of stuff is like for real here. For real. No, I have call screening enabled too. I have like those kind of spam calling stuff. And I still get that shit too. So it's some still like pass through. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. It sucks like big time. So yeah, I kind of want to call them up. I'll probably call them up later on from a private number and say, hey, by the way, who this? Who is this? Oh, you want to call me up to to tell me about my car's extended warranty? I don't know, but oh, that's a good one. If a company wants you to pay with gift cards, it's a scam. That is a really good sign, you guys. Like seriously, guys should share that with people. If anybody like calls you up and they say I need to have iTunes gift card or I need Google Play gift card, like that is a total scam. Total scam. Yeah. Oh, Rob has no Windows system. Yeah, so I know people are going to be like, yeah, Linux, and I'm like, OS X. Okay, so I will talk to you guys later. Yeah, that's another one too. Yeah, if they don't know your name, it's a scam. So one of the ways you can disarm these people is if they call you up and they say, oh, I'm calling from Microsoft, and I'm getting some kind of signal from your computer telling me that you have a virus. Ask them, like, okay, what's my name? And if they just say, like, it's your computer, you ask them that kind of stuff. Or if they ask you, like, they tell you about the car's extended warranty, you ask them, okay, so what kind of car do I have? Right? Because you got to know about that. If you're calling about a car extended warranty, like, you got to know what kind of car they have. They got to know your name, license plate number, that sort of stuff. But a lot of people, they'll just hang up on you, and they'll be like, F you, kind of thing. And I actually, I hear about that kind of stuff, and I think, like, how can you live with yourself knowing you're scamming people, being so predatory like that? But yeah, Kit Boga, I follow Kit Boga every so often. If you guys aren't familiar with him, if I remember correctly, his grandma got scammed. I think she got scammed $10,000 or so, but I might be remembering it wrong, and that inspired him to do all these, like, scam phishing kind of things. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for Kit Boga because he spends his time on that stuff. I know he's probably making big bank off of YouTube, but hey, you know what? He's wasting the time of those scammers so that they aren't able to talk to other people in that 1 or 2 hour time span. And yeah, tell your family members, like, don't fall for that kind of for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Jim Browning. Oh, okay. Jim Browning. I gotta look up Jim Browning later. Thanks for sharing, Marlon. Jim Browning. I'm gonna put that on my other one. I'll be damned if I call back that number that just called and then find out it's freaking family. I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, you guys. And then I'll be like, yeah, I called my family scammers. Whoops. Whoops. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Like, I get all these. Oh, look at this. Trying to knock your front door. Call me, show me. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, so I gotta get going. 6:40. How long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for like an hour, 16 minutes. I gotta keep this thing under because yeah, I want to live my life. And again, as much as you guys think I spend all day on YouTube, I really don't. I just like popping in like maybe once or twice a day, and then do a few community posts, and that's it. And I encourage you guys to do the same thing, for sure, right? Life is all about talking and connecting with people. And again, me being on YouTube makes it, I know it sends off this message, just like if I was on Instagram or if I was on Facebook all the time, it sends like I'm just like looking at my computer all day, every day, all minutes of the day. But I don't do that. I just kind of go back on YouTube and yeah, just like post some things, and then I get on with my day. And yeah, I know I definitely keep it under 4 hours a day. If you guys look at my like streams, with the exception of yesterday, because I was like dead tired yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, but I wanted to do this little stream because I have it in my head. Yeah, that's all. And yeah, so you guys take care. And again, watch what you say to other people and ask yourself, can you phrase things in a better way? You can still get the message across, but you don't have to be, you don't have to word it a certain way. And always be respectful to other people, because you don't want to go through life and have people think you're an asshole. Especially, right, there could be, a thing where it's like people say things, but if they say it in an asshole kind of way, it's like you remember the tone of how they delivered it. And depending on the tone, it can distract from whatever you wanted to come across. So yeah, just be mindful, be respectful, and treat people like human beings, people with emotions. If you don't feel comfortable talking to someone that talking to yourself in that way, then you shouldn't talk to people a certain way. Like, I would never ever speak to people using certain terms, especially online, because it's like, although you think that you're removed if you're behind a keyboard, you're really not, because the person who reads that is an actual human being. And I don't want to get too off topic, but some people, they can get psychologically messed up because of YouTube. And yeah, I call it for what it is, kind of thing. So James, right? James, please be better, and I have a lot of hope in you. And don't insult people. Don't insult people. Like if someone calls you out about certain things and they ask you to like change your ways, like don't insult people, because I think you definitely can be better, but you gotta like watch yourself. You gotta watch yourself and how you respond, and you either grow or you just stay the same. And I think life, we all have to grow, and that's how you become a better and better and better person. Okay, you guys. See ya.